If you think I'm the kind of person who could simply stand by and pretend not to care while someone else tries to step into the space that belongs to us, then you have misunderstood the depth of what lives inside my heart. You are seeing only the calm surface and not the storm underneath. You are hearing the silence but not the thousands of thoughts that move through me every single time your name crosses my mind. There is something I need you to understand clearly. What exists between us was never ordinary, it was never casual, never temporary, and definitely never something I could simply replace. You may think distance changes things. Time changes things. Silence changes things. Maybe you think confusion weakens what is real. Maybe you believe people eventually stop caring when things become difficult, complicated, or uncertain. But what if you are completely wrong? What if the very thing you are doubting is the one thing that refuses to break, no matter how hard life tries to test it? Because the truth is this: when someone becomes important to you in a way that reaches beyond logic, beyond reason, beyond explanation, they stop feeling like a temporary chapter. They become part of your breathing, part of your mornings, part of your midnight thoughts, part of the invisible future your heart quietly begins building without asking permission. And that is exactly what happened with you. You became something permanent in me, not because I planned it, not because I wanted things to get this deep, but because somehow, somewhere between the conversations, the emotions, the moments nobody else could understand, you became the person my soul recognized before my mind even had the chance to understand what was happening. That changes everything. So when you think I could simply sit comfortably while someone else walks into your world and acts like they understand you the way I do, you are thinking about this all wrong. Nobody sees what I see. Nobody notices the details I notice. Nobody understands the hidden versions of you the way I learned to, the strong version. The tired version, the version that acts okay when everything feels heavy, the version that smiles while carrying things nobody else even notices, the version of you that quietly wonders whether anyone truly understands what your heart has survived. I see all of it, and once someone sees your soul that deeply, they don't just stop caring. That is not how real connection works. You think feelings disappear? No, real feelings transform. They grow roots, they become stubborn, they survive storms, even silence struggles to erase them, because love, real love, meaningful love, soul-level love, is not built on convenience, it is built on recognition. And I recognized something in you that I cannot pretend never mattered. You matter, more than you probably realize, more than you probably believe, and maybe you have questioned that. Maybe there were nights where doubt became louder than truth, moments where fear convinced you that nobody stays, nobody means what they say, nobody fights for what they claim is important. Maybe life taught you disappointment so many times that trust stopped feeling safe. I understand. But hear this carefully. Not everyone walks away when things become difficult. Not everyone gives up. Not everyone stops choosing someone just because the road became complicated. Some people stay. Some people fight. Some people carry feelings so deep that even when the world shifts around them, Their heart still whispers the same name, and for me, that name has been yours. You may not always see it, you may not always understand it, but it is true, because connection is not measured only in words, it is measured in consistency, in memory, in the way someone keeps thinking about you when there is no reason left except love itself. And maybe that sounds intense, maybe it sounds impossible, but tell me something. How do you explain the way someone remains on your mind when days pass, weeks pass, distance grows, life changes, yet somehow their voice still echoes inside you, their energy still lingers, their absence still feels noticeable? That means something. It always means something. I am not interested in temporary emotions, temporary people, temporary promises. The world already has enough almosts, enough half-hearted intentions, enough people who speak beautifully but disappear quickly. What I want is something real, something that survives misunderstandings, something that survives fear, something strong enough to remain standing when life gets messy. And if I care about someone deeply, I care completely, not halfway, not halfway interested, not halfway invested, completely. Which means if you think I could simply shrug my shoulders and pretend someone else replacing what we have would not matter to me, then no, you are reading the situation wrong. Because some connections are not easy to surrender, especially when they changed you, especially when they taught you something about yourself, especially when they became home, and maybe nobody told you this before. But being deeply cared for is not weakness. Being important to someone is not something to fear. Being chosen consistently by someone who sees your flaws and still stays, that is rare. Rare enough that most people spend their entire lives searching for it. You have no idea. How many people walk through life feeling invisible, unseen, replaceable, forgotten, yet somehow, against all odds, there are moments where two souls collide and something unusual happens. They understand each other, not perfectly, but deeply, and once depth enters the picture, ordinary disappears forever. That is why this matters, that is why you matter, because this was never shallow. Never surface level, never something designed to disappear the second things became difficult. No, this is the kind of thing that lingers, the kind of thing that leaves fingerprints on your heart. The kind of thing that teaches you what emotional gravity feels like, and gravity is not easy to ignore, especially when it keeps pulling you back towards someone. Maybe life is testing us. Maybe timing has been unfair. Maybe confusion has made things harder than they ever needed to be. But one thing remains true, you are not easy to forget, and what I feel is not easy to silence, because every meaningful connection leaves evidence, a memory, a feeling, a lesson, a shift in perspective, and you changed something in me, in ways I still struggle to explain. You reminded me what depth feels like, what vulnerability feels like, what emotional honesty feels like. You reminded me that not every connection is random, some feel written, almost inevitable, like two people crossing paths exactly when they were meant to. Even if the timing feels complicated, even if the road feels uncertain, even if fear occasionally tries to convince both people to stop believing. I still believe, because something real is worth believing in, worth protecting, worth fighting for, and if that makes me intense, then so be it, because meaningful things deserve meaningful effort. You deserve effort. You deserve honesty. You deserve someone who means what they say. Someone who does not disappear every time life becomes inconvenient. Someone who remembers the little things. Someone who notices when your energy changes. Someone who genuinely wants to know what hurts, what heals, what scares you, and what makes you smile when nobody else is paying attention. You deserve depth, not games, not confusion, not inconsistency, depth, and somewhere inside me, I cannot stop believing that what we found deserves a real chance to become something unforgettable, because connections like this, they are rare, and rare things are not meant to be treated casually. They are meant to be valued, protected, respected, chosen, every single day. So no, I will never act like what we have means nothing. I will never pretend your presence did not change things. I will never speak about this like it was temporary, because temporary things do not stay with you this long. Temporary things do not reach this deep. Temporary things do not make your heart remember someone even in silence. You stayed in my thoughts for a reason, and maybe, just maybe, I stayed in yours too, because some stories refuse to end simply because life became complicated. Some hearts keep speaking even when words disappear, and some people become impossible to forget once they matter enough. You matter enough, more than you know, more than words sometimes know how to explain. And if there is one thing I want you to remember, it is this: never mistake silence for absence. Never mistake distance for indifference. And never assume that something meaningful becomes meaningless overnight, because sometimes the strongest feelings are the quietest. The deepest care speaks softly, but it remains. And if you ever wonder whether you are important, whether you are remembered, whether somebody still sees your worth even on the days you struggle to see it yourself, the answer is yes, always yes.